My name is Simon Bullimore. I'm the head of procurement for the Norse Group. The Norse Group owns Norse Care. Norse Care are East Anglia's biggest care home provider with 35 care establishments, 23 care homes, 12 housing care schemes, and they provide care, dementia support and learning disability care. And they're owned by the Norse Group and it's funded by Norfolk County Council predominantly. Norse Care were already involved in an MSP contract. And we brought the MSP contract in for the obvious reasons: multiple agencies, multiple supply chains, lack of control. And the first MSP did in fact do a relatively good job of bringing an element of control. The problem we had, and the reason we then turned to Retinue, is because there had been a lack of supply chain management. We had a number of agencies on different tiers, which means a number of agencies on different rates. And there was a general lack of momentum when it comes to the general control of the contract. So Retinue gave it a real fresh outlook. And we also had, in regards to supply chain management, the problem where one of our agencies had controlled about 70% of our supply. So we didn't have that correct commercial balance. And that's why we went to market, and that's why we brought Retinue in. We adopted the neutral vendor. Retinue were purely overseeing all of the agencies, and the main thing that we targeted them with doing initially was making sure the agencies were all segregated appropriately. There was no more tiered agency supply. They were able to get all agencies onto what we call tier 1 rates, full organisation, supply chain management control, and of course we had a complete refresh of all our governance. And those are the main things that Retinue did early on. I think implementation was a real key thing for us because we didn't have the resource available to do all of the implementation ourselves. So we were very keen on a business that had bidded, saying they could do 80% of this implementation for us, that actually being achieved. And Retinue totally did that. We had minimum involvement. And the key thing for us was onboarding agencies that we had good relationships with. And Retinue did that really, really well. Despite the fact we had certain agencies that we were using too much, we still managed to maintain them. And in fact, I think the final stat was about 98% retention. So one of the key things for us during mobilization implementation was that we kept that supply chain in place, and Retinue were able to bring that supply chain, bring it back to a level tier. So all in all, our resource wasn't too much. We didn't have to engage too much. We were able to leave Retinue alone to get on with it and do it. And the magic go live day all went very, very smoothly. I think the major results we've seen have been along the lines of the governance. We now have full control over the supply chain. We've seen a significant saving courtesy of Retinue getting all of the agencies onto a tier 1 rate. We have had far better supply chain control with a balance of supply across all the supply chains, keeping that competition going and people wanting to put agency and agency workers forward, because that's very, very critical. Our management information has been far improved with very bespoke dashboards and reporting. We have some very unique reporting requirements, and Retinue were able to shape their MI in a way that meant everything that we needed month by month we've been able to see. And one of our biggest areas was our off-contract spend, with a lack of control, people having to go off-contract to supply. The trouble with that is that fulfillment wasn't where it was, so they went off-contract. Now Retinue have got fulfillment back to where it needs to be. We've really reduced that off-contract supply. So those have been the key areas.